This is the third video in Access Chapter 2, Project 2A in the Go Office 2010 book. I'm on Objective 7 on page 528. Activity 2.11 is specifying text criteria in a query. So criteria is some rule. It's like when we did filtering in Excel. And so be sure all objects are closed and the navigation pane is closed. And click the Create tab. And we're going to go to Query Design. And we want to add the instructors table, so double click on it. And close the window here and expand this a little bit so we can see all of our fields. And add the following fields in the order given. So first I want department, double click. Instructor ID, double click. Rank, first name, last name. And now we're at the top of page 529. In the criteria row of your design grid, click in the department field. And for criteria, this is criteria row, type IST. And then it says press enter. It puts quotation marks around it for us. And note also that it is not case sensitive. You could put lowercase letters as well and it would still work. Now, what we're saying is that only select a record if this is in the department field. So you remember we had quite a few of those, maybe a dozen or so. Let's go ahead and run this. And now we get 13 records. So these are just the people that are in the IST department and nobody else. And the reason for that is because that's what we put here in our criteria field. And it says to save the query, we're going to call this 2A IST query. So we can do a save here. And we're going to call it 2A IST query. Click on OK. And we're not going to do a print preview. We're going to go ahead and close that. And the IST query appears underneath instructors again because that's the table that it pulls data from. Now we're in activity 2.12 on page 530. And they tell us to close the navigation pane. And click the Create tab again. We're going to create a new query using Query Design. And we're going to add the instructors. So double click on instructors, then go ahead and close the box. Resize it again to make it big enough. And add the following fields in the order given. We want instructor ID, so double click. First name, double click. Last name, and rank in that order. And so now it should look pretty much like the picture on the bottom of page 530, except we haven't added our criteria yet. So in the sort row, we want to sort by last name. So let's get the sort row is right here. And I want to go to the last name, and I want everything to be in ascending order based on last name. And then the other thing I want to do is I'm looking for rank of professor. So let's go here and tab out of there, or click out of there, or hit the enter key, and it'll put the quotation marks in for you. And now it should look exactly like the bottom of page 530. And we're moving on to the top of page 531, number 6. In the design grid, in the show row, note that the checkbox is selected for every field. And if we run the query, we will get these results. These are all the people whose rank is equal to professor. Let's go back to design view. And under rank, I'm going to turn the checkbox off, which means it will, in the show row, which means it will not be shown in the results. Let's run it again. And now instead of having professor occur 13 times over there, it does not occur at all. And now it says save the query, and we're going to call it 2A professor rank query. So let's click on this up here and name it 2A rank query. Click on OK or hit the enter key. And then close the query, and that takes us to activity 2.13 at the bottom half of page 531. Number 1, click the Create tab, click on Query Design again. This time we're going to add the schedule table, so double click on schedule down here, and close the Show Table dialog box. And let's lengthen this a little bit so we can see all the fields. And now we're on number 2. We want to add subject. Double click on it. Catalog number. Double click on that. Section. Double click. Course name. And credits in that order. Now in the criteria row, right here, under credits, we're going to type is null and tab out of there. And what we're asking for, you can't just put null, you have to put is null. And what we're asking it to find is records where nothing has been entered in the credits column. Okay, that either means there was a mistake and they accidentally left some data out for that column, or an alternative is that the data was not available at the time that the table was created, and so they just left it empty. And a null field is something that has never had a value in it. It's not the same as having a field with blanks in it. So there's a subtle difference there. Now we're on the top of page 532. In the sort row, go to the subject field, and we want that in ascending order. We want the catalog number in ascending order, so if the subject is the same, they'll be ordered by catalog number. And then they'll be sorted by section within catalog number. And now they want us to run the query. Let's go ahead and run the query. And notice out here for credits, there is nothing there. Okay, and so what that means is nothing has ever been entered. And what we have now is we have a list of rows in the table where a value is never entered in the credits column. And we want to save this one. And the name for this one, I'm on the top of page 533, is 2A no credits query. Click on OK. And we're going to close the query. Go back here and open the navigation pane, and there is our no credits query right there. And again, we're not going to print anything here, so this takes us to the end of project 2A.